Alright folks, how are we? It is episode 3 of the Fontana podcast. So I'm now on Spotify and Castbox. So if you don't have Castbox, I think a lot of people don't have that, but loads and loads of people have Spotify. Tried to get it on iTunes, but just now somehow all the pictures I use aren't up to Mr. Steve Jobs standard, so fuck him. I'm going to stay on Spotify and I'm going to stay on Castbox, so that's where you can find me. If you do like these podcasts and you want to share them around, like, subscribe, share it to your training partners, share it to your friends, whoever you feel, might need to hear these tips on training or, whatever I talk about on the podcast, just so that it helps everybody. A friend of mine, Stuart, asked why I'm doing the podcast, and then he said, what's my angle, blah, 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 and I said, mate, it was like advertisements, money, spot. I said, I don't need it. Like, I've got a great business, I've got a great bunch of clients. One thing I don't need to worry about is making more money. I'm only doing this because I've got a spare, 20-30 minutes in the day while I'm having a cup of coffee and I just want to reach out to somebody. That's literally it. If it goes somewhere, great. If it doesn't bother me. Like, this is just something that I want to do because, genuinely, all my clients know, my friends know, I can talk for Scotland, so, and there's no point in sort of just giving it to one or two people. I want to give it to a lot more people out with my, my client base. So if it's going to help anybody listen to this, then it's a job well done, if you ask me. So, if you do like this, give it a like, subscribe to it, comment in the comments section below, because I want to hear your feedback. Your feedback is good for me to then cater more episodes to what you want to hear that's going to help better you in your training or in life, or your mindset towards grinding it out in training and in life as well. So this next podcast is on the marathon mistakes, the mistakes I made leading up to the Valencia Marathon. And literally, so I had a 4-month build up towards the Valencia Marathon, and in the last 10 to 7 days, that's where we made all of my biggest mistakes. Alright, so I'm going to go through, I've got 4 mistakes that I've popped down. I've got 4 big mistakes I made pre and post marathon. The first one was, like I said in the previous podcast, in my training, when I was talking about my training, I had sciatica. So coming in to the marathon block, I already was kind of starting to, on the right side of my glute, down into my hamstring, into the sort of my foot and my toes, was all going a bit numb. I was training with a guy, Max Malarvey, and I said to him, my glutes quite sore this when we're training for the 10k, and we're running around the track, and I was just like, it just doesn't feel right. And this was before I was phasing out the 10k training and moving into the big marathon training. And the only reason I got away with it at the start was because ultimately marathon training is a lot slower than 10k training. So the power that I was putting through my foot, my glutes, my hamstrings and my back was a lot easier, so I could cope with it at the start. But little by little, day by day and week by week of the constant pounding, repetition on the ground started to eat away at my sciatica, and it started to get worse even training at marathon pace, and then it started getting worse just easy running. So that was one of my first mistakes. So like I said, I took 4 days off completely, and lo and behold, would you know, it went away. Goodness me, us crazy distance runners and our compulsion to not rest. That's what makes us good, but it also hurts us at the same time. It's, it's a gift and a curse, what you call it, the double-edged knife sword. It's what makes us great, but also ultimately can be our biggest downfall at the same time. So that one there, big mistake. Training with the sciatica, also racing with the sciatica over the 10k at Stirling and the Great Scottish Run, both putting in very, very, very poor performances, which could which has ultimately hurt, selection for Scotland teams on the road. It can go against me for future selections down the line. So my emotional side did not favour me in that moment. I allowed the emotions to take over. Being logical, it came to a sort of a head with me just hitting the stop button and saying, look, this is getting too much. I need to take a bit of time off. It was during a 5 times 3 mile session with a minute recovery, and I got the first one in, and I was limping from about a mile and a half, a mile to go on the first one, still knowing that I've got 12 miles of hard work to go. It was quite demoralising mentally. Took the minute recovery, went to push off in the second one, lost my footing, tried to push through, was way off pace, just tried to grind it because you know that we're supposed to train tired when we're in the marathon. But it was just it was a tired, fatigued, injured state I was in. So after that second one, I turned round to Martin and I was like, mate, we need to call it a day here. And it was hard, It was, one thing for me is pain, suffering, lactic acid. I see these as obstacles and challenges that I want to overcome, but sometimes when that obstacle's too much for me to handle, even though logically and everybody around me would be saying it's fine, even in my head I still go back home and I beat myself up. But it was good that, like I said, Caroline's mum and dad were over, so we went to Loch Lomond, we went to Luss, we went down to the West End, we had coffees, we had lunch, we had dinner. So that kind of being out the house and not being in my own company was actually quite good at that time, because if not, I'd probably beat myself up and I'd have been on suicide watch. But besides that, the next mistake was going on holiday for a week, 2 weeks out before the race. In hindsight, it's a mistake, but at that time, it seemed like an amazing thing to do. The reason being, me and my coach and my family all were like, oh yeah, getting into some hot weather, sort of prepping yourself for the climate that's going to be in Valencia. That sounds amazing. And the holiday was amazing. It was just, how did we get there? By mass transport in a plane, recycled air conditioning. And, at this time of year in December, in the winter, everybody's coughing their bloody lungs up. So, lo and behold, I'm in seat B, and in seat C beside me is a woman who I think has laryngitis, bronchitis, and the flu rolled up into one big fucking ball and is just coughing up all over the place. And I'm looking up at the sky going, are you fucking kidding me? Like, literally, are you kidding me? But tried to stay calm, gave her some death stares when she was coughing up her lungs. She had sweat up the back of her neck and her hair, and I was like, oh my God, this is so disgusting. I better not catch this. But hey ho, it happened. And, hindsight is a beautiful thing where I can look back and go, that was a mistake. But again, like my coach, friends and family, I've always said I could have caught the cold working at the gym, training my clients and picking up a dumbbell, or somebody sneezing and I'm standing beside them. It could have happened anywhere. So, it's just, I won't be making that mistake again in terms of if I'm going to go away anywhere, I'll do the whole 4 weeks, 5 weeks away at altitude, and not just sort of a 7-day stint somewhere. I'll leave that to after the marathon. Then, having bronchitis or bronchostasis the week leading into the marathon, being advised by the doctors, by the nurses not to do it, and then doing the marathon. obviously that is a big mistake. Not in terms of, you know, in health aspects, it's just a big red flag. We're all crazy as distance runners. We all want to defy physiology and be the exception to the rule, but more often than not, we can't defy physiology. Like, our body has its limits. You know, we're human beings at the end of the day. We'd love to be Arnold Schwarzenegger like the Terminator, but we're not machines. We are human beings. We get sick, we get ill, we get tired, we get hungry, we get all these things. Sometimes you've got to succumb to the inevitable, and, you know, in hindsight again, it's a beautiful thing. It's in 2020, so hopefully I've got 2020 vision and hindsight 2020 coming in this year, but that was another mistake that I made, trying to run sub 220, 217 for the marathon with bronchitis. Got to be I'm thinking you've got to be absolutely batshit crazy to even attempt it. If I was talking to an athlete who had all the same symptoms as what I had, I would absolutely be saying to them, you're not running today. But yet again, we're all quite not a bit, you know, something's not ticking properly up there as you're a distance runner or any sort of distance athlete or individual athlete, to be honest. Individual sports, we've all got to be a little bit gone, you know, to push ourselves when nobody's watching, when nobody's looking. So that was another mistake. And the next one was coming back too quick to training after the marathon, because I was so pissed off about how poorly I ran. I thought, you know what, I'm going to get back. Success is the best revenge. I'm going to get back and I'm going to crush it, and I'm going to get fit, really fit, before my next marathon block, before London. And again, all these mistakes I've made have been from an emotional standpoint. If I literally just maybe wrote down how I was feeling and what was happening and looked at it from a bird's eye view, from a helicopter, or maybe if I had somebody around me telling me, you know, logically telling me the things that I was saying back to me, would I have done things differently? Probably not. I don't know. Who knows? But everything, all these mistakes came from an emotional standpoint. None of them came from logic. Not one single one. So I came back too early from training. I've kind of hurt my Achilles a little bit. It actually came on in about the last 10k of the marathon. My Achilles just started to get a bit tight on my left side, and I was like, oh, this is getting a bit tight, but I didn't know if it was just, you know, the accumulation fatigue, my calves tightening up, or whatever it may be, because I stopped taking drinks and gels and hydration. 10 miles to go, because I just like, fuck it, like, I'm running shit. What's the point? I don't need to hydrate for this. It's just kind of like a long run now. I'm just going to run it in, complete the marathon. It's in my legs. It'll be good for me on the next build towards London. But I came back too quick, started running a little bit too fast on my build-up runs. And again, because I was emotionally charged, probably listening to the Stormzy playlist as well on Spotify wasn't the best option, you know. Some of his lyrics get you really pumped up. So I'm out there smashing the miles, you know, 2-3 miles to go. I'm running 5:30, 5:20 pace on a bloody so-called quote-unquote easy run. That's not fucking easy. That's not easy. That's me getting back down to marathon pace. So again, emotionally fueled to try and prove motherfuckers wrong, because I'm a distance runner and I'm strong and I'm Sean Fontana and I'm, you know, I'm hard as nails. But really, again, the physiology has its limits, it has its recovery time, and I didn't listen. So it's now the 3rd of January, Friday the 3rd of January, and I'm just slowly getting back to training again. So 4 weeks after the marathon, I'm doing you run in the morning or cross training in the morning, and then in the evening, whatever I'd done in the morning, I'd reverse in the evening. So if it was a run in the morning, I'm cross training on the bike in the evening. If I was biking in the morning, I'm going to do a run in the evening. So that's how I'm trying to build my base back without damaging or hurting my Achilles anymore, to get back, get the miles in, get the heart and lungs stimulated, get the body fired back up without putting too much pounding through the Achilles. So that's my 4 mistakes that I made that cost me dearly in the marathon build up in my first marathon. And these 4 mistakes I will hopefully not make again. But I'm not going to promise anybody that, because you know what happens. Every single time, it's like a goldfish going round the bowl. We go round once, we forget we've been round, and we go back round again. That's just us as distance runners. But like I said, once is a mistake. The second time I do it is a choice. So, you know, I got an Achilles injury, kind of similar the same time last year, but I was out for 4 months, on and off for 4 months, because I kept coming back too fast. And now I'm back running 9 miles in the morning, and then also bike session at night. Exactly 4 weeks back, but I've been back I was back last week, so I get back within 3 weeks of having Achilles tendonitis. Took 5 days off completely, and then cycled for 5 days, so I took 10 days completely off running, and now I'm slowly getting back there. It's still a bit achy, but I'm really glad that I took those 5 days off completely, and also took 5 days cross training completely, no impact through the Achilles, using the hot water bottle, cold ice bucket, and the Strasbourg sock to help stretch my plantar fascia, stretch my Achilles and stretch my calf. That's one of my go-tos right away when my Achilles starts to get a bit tight. Put that Strasbourg sock on, and before you know it, everything's all stretched out, which is amazing. So yeah, that's my 4 mistakes. Four mistakes first time round the marathon. If you liked it, if you learned anything from it, great. If you want to know, tips on how to recover from an Achilles tendon injury, then just comment in the comments below. If you liked this, if you found it insightful, if you found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Share this experience with other people if they're on the build up towards their first marathon, just so they don't make the same mistakes I made, because it's heartbreaking, and I don't want other people to go through the same heartache that I've went through. And again, I guess we can talk about experiences till the cows come home, but at the end of the day, there's that famous quote that says, you never learn from anybody else's mistakes, you only ever learn from your own mistakes. And I guess I am always the latter, sadly. But if you guys can learn from my mistakes and not make it, then I've done my job here on this podcast today. Alright, well, you guys have a good day. Also, it's Friday, so have a good weekend, and keep running, keep grinding, and I wish you all the best in your running preparations for whatever races you're doing in the lead up to the new year. Alright, have a great 2020, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.